don't nobody have more respect for Mike Tyson than I do, where I literally, imitated my whole style off of Mike Tyson and coming into MMA, with the peekaboo style, with the footwork, with the massive explosive shots.
I saw some fans saying Ariel would never say that to Bisping's face, so he shouldn't say it online.
Alex Pereira, I think this dude finna be the highest paid, UFC fighter right now because he's doing what he's doing. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Brick Brother Podcast. Man, we got a lot going on right now. Obviously, man, y'all heard about Conor McGregor. Y'all heard about Khamzat, Chimaev. Man, let's get straight to it, bro. Big news, man, out here. Khamzat is out. Conor McGregor is out. These are the biggest names in the game, bro. What you think about this situation for the UFC?
I mean, it's crazy. Back-to-back events. You have both of the main events being recreated within a week, which is insane. I got to give you your credit. Let's just start with the first one. You said months ago Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler was never going to fight. That fight was never going to happen. And it's funny because Michael Chandler said literally the day before it got readjusted that neither one of them have ever pulled out of a fight, and then the fight gets canceled.
Look at that. Mystic Master got another one. But, man, I think it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, even myself, I do want to see Conor McGregor back for the likes of the UFC and for the big fights to be made. But it's just unfortunate that Conor ain't that dude no more, And I believe that people just, unfortunately, they still had that mystique about him from 2016, and they want to see that Mystic Mac come back out, talking that good talk and going out and putting on them hell of performances. But, I just don't think he that dude anymore, man, unfortunately. So I don't think we ever going to see my man ever come back.
Here's the thing. I think Conor went on one of the most legendary runs, but I think the game is just kind of shown that it's going to be okay without him. Conor hasn't fought, what has it been, like 3-4 years or whatever. And I feel like the game is just kind of moving on without him. I don't think that the thing he did best he's doing anymore. Conor McGregor was taking the world by storm, saying he's going to beat everybody and being the best guy in the world, and now he's kind of a novelty fighter. It's like a one-off. Him versus Michael Chandler really didn't make sense in the grand scheme of things. Michael Chandler was kind of fighting the best of the guys.
And look, then Michael Chandler's talking about, yeah, bro, we just gonna stand up and bang. So you just asking to get knocked out.
It's a money fight. It's not somebody who's trying to move forward to get the belt. And I believe Conor has to kind of pull. Where if he beat Michael Chandler and it was exciting, he could fight Islam. But like even if he beat Islam, it would be undeserving of the opportunity. So somebody like what's my guy's name?
Leon.
No, 155.
155.
Islam already beat him.
Oh, you talking about, man? I know who you talking about. Arnhem, right?
No. You said his name, but you not saying it right.
I ain't saying it right.
No. But
Armin.
Yeah, Armin Sarukian. Thank you very much. I'm like,
what I say?
You said Arnhem. Arnhem Lubba. There we go. You did him dirty.
Close.
But my point being, somebody like Armin Sarukian is far more deserving of the opportunity. So I think that fight could have happened or whatever, but he's not doing the thing that we want, that we love Conor for. I think this cycle of MMA fans might not even know who Conor is in the context of fighting, but know him as the movie star.
Right.
It's just kind of interesting. So I didn't really care about that fight happening. I'm not gonna lie, but I thought it was big and valid for the sport, not necessarily for me as an MMA fan.
Yeah, no, that's 100 because yet again, the sport gonna move on regardless whether Conor McGregor fights or if he don't fight. The UFC gonna keep putting up these numbers. We gonna keep putting up these great matchups and always have something for the fans to tune in for. But regardless, though, it's the showmanship that I kind of miss, right? That I feel like you said before with Armin Sarukian, like he not gonna get that type of show. He not gonna go out there and try to display that type of promotion. And I think that's one thing that I feel like some fighters need to start taking that blueprint from Conor and like, hey, bro, talk that talk, you do in the gym and promote yourself to the fight fans and to the business so you can try to become a name like that. Not saying you will reach or obtain anything close to that, because at the end of the day, I ain't gonna lie, man, kind of had that against the gab, at the end of the day. What my little favorite line is, what I'm saying? Like, hey, I want to apologize to absolutely nobody when he came up with the little 2 belts and shit like that. That shit was crazy, or the whole thing situation with Jose Aldo that you brought up, right? I'm gonna pillage the whole, if this was a different time, I pillage the land and, what I'm saying, on the back of horses and put your head on the stage. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, but he was just talking that crazy talk that people just love to see, man, and be entertained by.
Well, and that's the thing. What I'm saying is, and I know you understand where I'm going, it used to be backed up with some of the best performances that we see. He would say
on
something.
top of that,
Nobody had beaten Jose Aldo in 10 plus years or something like that. He knocks him out in 13 seconds. Those performances backed with the gab.
Yeah.
Now it's just like he's at the end of the cage and he wipes the mediums and his legs broken. Gradually speaking, it's not the same. So it's like kind of sad to see as a fan, and like, I give Conor his credit, but I think that part of his career is over. Taking on the best fighters, saying crazy stuff. Now I feel like his ability to talk is probably a bit bigger than his ability to beat the best guys in the world.
Yeah, so. Man, my man just gonna forever be a Twitter warrior, I guess. I mean, because that's the funniest part, which is kind of fucked up because, he didn't show no respect to the fans, obviously, because you got people that bought in on the pay-per-view, then bought their tickets, then got their flights ready, their hotels, and he joking about it, He joking about the whole situation about Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler still won the fight, or like he been an old man and him in tear face, that he still never got it, like, kind of like, what you doing, bro? Like, because at the end of the day, regardless if you're making fun of Chandler, you're making fun of your fans, right? Because you have people that's been waiting, and I'm talking about dinner on a life's end, right, to try to watch this fight. You know what I mean? And hopeful that kind of will ever come back. And that now that they get it, right, they so close to it, boom, you just take it away from them, just like that.
Well,
so,
I think he had a legitimate reason, but I get what you're saying, making light of it. Like, I saw some post on Twitter. I don't know if it's true or not, but the guy, he had tickets that were worth like $27,000 for exclusive.
That's crazy.
I don't know if that's true or not, but you do that for a Conor McGregor. That speaks to the level of star that Conor is, and maybe you don't do that for Hill and for Prochazka and Pereira, which brings us into. Do you think that main event is better, or do you think it's worse than the event?
I think as for a fan for MMA, it's better. But for the showman and the money, obviously the Conor and the Chandler would have did numbers, right? But I think Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka going to be another fun-ass fight.
See, and I understand the UFC wasn't given the best hand, so I don't blame them for putting that card together. Alex Pereira and Prochazka, like, for them to take the fight with that little time, especially, I see why Jiri would take it.
Yes.
But for Pereira to not really have the time to prepare, and he's been doing like that tour.
Are you talking about your title still on the line?
Yeah, and for you to do it, I kudos to him, and it's a huge opportunity. I just think we've already saw the fight before, and usually International Fight Weekend, we kind of get something big that we've never seen before, and that's the only part. But,
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
With that being said, like, do you even think Prochazka stands a better chance? Because I think it's going to be largely the same what we saw.
Same. I think it's going to be the same type of fight, but the thing is, though, both fighters had short times to prepare. Both of them focusing on cutting that weight down right now. But just skill for skill, I don't think they have, grown too crazy, right? I think they're at the same level. So I believe, like, Jiri has a chance, obviously, to catch Alex, but I think it's going to be the same type of fight.
Well, my thing with Jiri is, you saw in that Alexander Rakic fight, that he was content to just take shots, not check kicks. It's like
that ain't no good thing, bro.
No, that's my point. It's like he almost dares you to see if he, like, try to knock me out, like, try. And then with Pereira, we know that's not the guy you do that with, right?
Not at all. So with that being said, training with them trees outside, he definitely gonna have to do a little bit more, because Jiri, you can't take damage like that like he did in the first fight, and then like you said, what he did with Rakic. Now, he was able to take that damage and still come out on top, right, with winning the fight. But at the end of the day, you're talking about two different type of powers, on the end. And he already felt that from the first one. So if Jiri try to change up the game plan, let's see that. But I don't see that happening.
I don't think it's in his DNA.
Right.
I think that's just honestly how he fights. It doesn't matter the opponent. It's just been largely successful. You look at the Reyes fight. He still fought the same style, just worked against him. And Pereira's just one of those guys, one punch. He's actually a good striker. And who could put anybody out. But that being said, the co-main event now is different as well for UFC 303.
Man, a bunch of pullouts, boy. Pullout game strong in this one.
Jamal Hill out. Now it's Anthony Smith versus Carlos Ulberg. What do you think about that being changed too? I don't remember a card that I can think of in recent history where the main event and co-main event have gone out in the same week.
Man, back to back. No, I can't
International
even tell
Fight Weekend too.
Man, I couldn't even tell you. But with this matchup, Anthony Smith back, saving the day again, fighting another young prospect. Who you think gonna win this one though? What is it?
Now, I will say it is very, very interesting. Ulberg, his striking is fantastic. I remember there's a fight. I remember the guy who fought, but he lost the fight, but I was impressed with his ability. He got tired whooping the dude's ass. I don't remember who it was. It was like in the second UFC fight. And, it was an onslaught. With that being said, if he has not made those adjustments to be patient, to be timely, to not just try to put someone away, Anthony Smith is one of those guys who just can find a submission. He's just really crafty. But every fight starts on the feet. Yes. Ulberg is really sharp. I think comes out of City Kickboxing. Like probably Ulberg for sure. And he was already preparing for a fight too. Most
definitely. But for me, man, these guys is definitely making a great opportunity for themselves for stepping up, right? When you talk about 15 days, just short notice, going out there, man, and putting on for the company, man. But my thing is, damn, bro, I'm trying to get my little opportunity, bro, trying to get a little big check too, Alex Pereira, I think this dude finna be the highest paid, UFC fighter right now because he's doing what he's doing, Obviously, I feel like for Alex Pereira, he should probably slow it down after this, right? But the high streak he been on is kind of like crazy, And I think that's one thing I don't think a lot of people talking about. For him to do what he's doing right now, it's like straight out of a movie, and you wouldn't even believe the shit, To starting off in fighting, and the reason why you got into MMA was to beat, the dude that you beat in kickboxing. The dude, Izzy, talking about, hey, you know what I mean? He probably somewhere in the bar getting drunk talking about how he beat me in kickboxing. He literally was doing that at that time, watching on TV. He said, yeah, let me put on these little 4-ounce gloves and get to work. Really went on about doing that. Went on a little winning streak, on the regional scenes. Got signed as what 3-1 in the UFC. Went on a tear, beating Izzy, right? Becoming a 185 champion. And then going up to 205, becoming that champion. Beating other champions along the way. Alex Pereira's story is like kind of ridiculous to me, man. And to see where he at right now is kind of lit. Motivational to me because I'm trying to make some numbers happen too.
No, it's crazy. It's kind of crazy that you think about Bruno Silva. Even though he lost to Izzy, he got finished, but he was having a lot of success in that fight. It's kind of crazy that his hardest fight was Bruno Silva in the UFC. Yeah. Just you think about it. But I misspoke earlier. Actually, Anthony Smith and Ulberg isn't the co-main event. That's just the fight on there. They brought in Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega to replace it, which is even more odd. Now that
that's just a random ass fight just to even just throw on that bitch.
Neither one were actually on the card, and they threw them in place. So Ulberg got dropped down from the co-main.
I'm glad you brought that because I forgot all about that in the first place. How you feel about that one? Diego Lopez. I mean, that's a big,
insane, man.
That's a big fight though.
Ortega's a monster. Honestly, besides his fight with Max and Volkanovski, two of the best. Both of those guys. Never really seen him in any real trouble. He's always rose to the cage. I think the Moicano fight he had a little trouble, but ended up finishing Hanato Moicano. But Brian Ortega is as good as they come, and Diego Lopez, man, that kid's really good. He beat the shit out of what's my guy?
Yusuf.
Yeah, Sadiq Yusuf, and Sadiq's a great fighter. So I was really impressed with that. Diego Lopez stepped in short notice and fought,
on that one,
and he fought Mosar Ivoyev and gave him a tough fight. So it's interesting. Styles make fights. Yeah, I think if they're both really good grapplers, so we're probably.
I was about to say that.
We're probably going to see a striking affair, but I would love to see it go to the ground with both of them.
Same thing what you just said, right? With them both being strong grapplers, I think it is going to be on the feet for a while. I like Ortega in the striking. He's very creative. He's long. He's nice with his jab. But Diego, that motherfucker just mean. Vicious. You know what I mean? So he just gonna come forward and he's gonna engage with the action at all times. So with this fight, man, it's definitely a toss-up in my opinion. But I really feel like if Diego is able to do what he's been doing to everybody else to Brian Ortega, man, you got a future champion right now.
Right?
Yeah.
But with that being said, the only reason I lean towards Ortega is not because of skill sets. I just tend to lean towards the guy who's fought the harder competition and rose to the top. You have one guy who's fought Sadiq Yusuf and fought Mosar, which is a tough fight, but then somebody fought Max Holloway at one point in time, one of some people's consensus best featherweight. Then to fight Volkanovski, who's a lot of people's consensus greatest featherweight. To fight Korean Zombie, who's at the top of the heap. So this would be a major step up in competition for Lopez, and he might pass with flying colors, but I just have to go with the guy who's done it for a longer time. That's just.
Man, so back on my boy Khamzat Chimaev. That boy in the hospital. He all sick.
You're sick. You're
Talking
sick.
about
You're
violently ill.
You're a sick person. That's all I'm gonna say.
Why am I a sick person? Yeah, I'm a little sick right now. Y'all see, I got my little Lipton tea, man. Y'all heard my voice and shit.
You posted some things on your Instagram.
Yeah.
In our Discord group,
I say if he dies, he dies, boy.
what is wrong with you, man?
But listen, look. So Khamzat thought it was funny that I got knocked out, right? Back in Abu Dhabi, you know what I'm saying? When Alessio did me dirty, hit me with the little head kick, you know? And he put a little laughing emoji. So he thought it was hilarious that I got knocked out, that, you know, that my health got deteriorated at the time. So I find it funny that the same situation didn't happen to him. He didn't caught COVID. And the motherfucker down here talking about retirement. And he don't know if he going to continue to live on. Damn, oh, man, poor child. That situation so fucked up, man.
What's wrong with you, man?
I find it so funny. It's so hilarious to me. That shit is crazy. You know, but regardless though, you know, we pray for Hans. We hope you all right.
How you gonna say
we hope you good.
If he dies, he dies.
I know. Yeah. I'm taking my prayers back because I prayed for that nigga to be sick in the first place.
Something wrong with you.
I begged the Lord, man, to put that motherfucker in the hospital for the one time since I couldn't do it. You know.
Anyway, with that being said, Khamzat out of the fight night with Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is fighting Israel. How you say his last name?
I don't know how to say his last name. Man, you know I don't know how to say none of these niggas' names.
Alos or something.
Something like that.
I can pronounce it. But he fought Khamzat, interesting enough.
Yeah. Nah, Khamzat sent that motherfucker to the sunken place. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, Khamzat, they both fought back in Brave in that promotion.
He gave Khamzat a tough test, and that's his only loss to date. Now fighting Robert Whittaker. What do you think about that fight as opposed to the other one?
Be honest with you, I think it's just an easier dub for Robert Whittaker. Ikram is a good fighter, definitely with being 2-0 in the UFC, having 2 back-to-back finishes, you know, over Alves and versus Phil Hawes. And I really feel like with that situation being said, it's just like the level of competition my man that fought, you know, he really hasn't shown what his potential is, you know. But I love how Dana was talking about, you know, the only person that was willing to take this fight was Robert Whittaker. But, like, you know, Robert Whittaker, he trying to get paid. Like, you know, this ain't no issue for Rob. But I feel like you said, it should be the other way around. Like, I don't think it was a lot of guys willing to step up to fight Robert Whittaker.
Probably
you know,
not.
As, you know, obviously somebody not just as skillful as he is, but he's ready. You know, he's been preparing. He's sharp. So anybody that's getting that call and they come right off the couch, you know, they probably a little hesitant. So I think Ikram already had a fight established. He was supposed to fight, I forget his name. Actually, no, I do know. Munoz. He was supposed to fight Munoz, but they scratched that fight and gave Ikram Robert Whittaker, you know. And that situation is just like, you know, that's a good opportunity for Ikram to kind of establish his name, but I don't think he has the skill sets to beat Robert Whittaker in this fight.
Interesting. I think that Khamzat, not that they're the exact same fighter, but they have a lot of same strengths. You know, more of big power, good grappling, well-rounded. But Robert Whittaker, he was training for this fight, preparing for, I would say, a similar style. And I don't think the guy you said, Alex was supposed to fight, is very similar to Robert Whittaker. Very unique, kind of interesting style, karate kind of blends, you know, striking with the boxing and, you know, can get a takedown. Champion, you know, I think that's a tough test for him, for you to take that fight on short notice. I don't know, you know, where there's risk, there's reward.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think for Whittaker, you know, I expect him to probably get the W.
Man, this fight, good bag, man, for Robert Whittaker. Because it's a 5-rounder too. Ikram ain't never win 5 rounds. You know, just assuming because he ain't never fought for a title or a belt or this is his first main event. So that's going to be hard to train for all that within, that's less than a week, right? This ain't even 15 days. So when was this fight? It was the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a week.
Yeah.
A week to prepare for 5 rounds.
Maybe 10 days or something.
Bro. Yeah. So this fight ain't gonna go well for Ikram. That's just my call out.
No, and I agree with you. Just on the sense that most people probably wouldn't want to fight Robert Whittaker.
Period.
Like all the guys who would want to fight for a title, the fight with Ikram probably just wouldn't make that much sense. I don't think it's a matter of fear.
Yes.
He already has the loss. That's number one. And then number two, like if I'm Jared Cannonier, why would I want to fight him when I could go fight somebody who's very close to Duplessis, right? So that's looking really far back as opposed to somebody just trying to get their way to the title. Sean Strickland versus him. He already took a fight against Alos. You know, like, why would I do that again?
So they said they mentioned some names, and they just said no. So they said they mentioned Sean Strickland and Usman, right?
To fight Whittaker.
Obviously, the fights didn't happen, so somebody said nah. Ali comes out and said that Usman said yes to it. Would that have been a better matchup in the first place?
Usman Whittaker?
Yeah.
I don't think so, honestly. And I'll say why. Nothing against Usman, but he hasn't fought a fight where he's won in, 5 fights? He lost to Leon 2 times back-to-back.
And then just one time to Khamzat.
Khamzat, maybe 4 years. It's like
there you go.
It might be 4 years, but 3 fights back-to-back, right? Back-to-back. For you to fight Robert Whittaker up a weight class, Khamzat, somebody who predominantly, fought mixed in between 170 and 185. Whittaker fought at 170 a long time ago in his UFC reign. So if I'm looking at it just from that and it being a tricky style, I don't think Usman, that'd be a tough fight to take on a week's notice. You fight Khamzat.
I'm about to say he did it with Khamzat. He did 10 days on Khamzat and gave Khamzat some good money.
But look at his performance. It's not that Usman fought bad. I feel like he wasn't confident in his cardio, able to push as good as he would have. And I think he looked back at that fight like, if you gave me
the 5,
or if you gave me, I don't know, 6 weeks to prepare, maybe that fight's different.
Oh no, most definitely.
I think
yes.
That was not the Usman we're used to seeing. He was like, you fought Kobe, who's a really heavy grappler, and you were able to know that you could fight at a high pace and high pressure, and it's like he was conserving his gas tank. Right.
And the thing about Khamzat, I don't care what nobody say, he's still just a one-dimensional fighter to me. Yeah, one weapon, which is his grappling and holding down and being dominant and top heavy. But Robert, that boy kind of nice everywhere, So he can take the fight to the ground if necessary, right? On the feet, good footwork, power shots can knock you out, So that's what Usman will have to, really watch out for is trying to be dynamic in the cage, having a good game plan right off the bat. I think this is an easy fight for Robert Whittaker for Ikram, but I feel like that Usman and Robert Whittaker would have been so much fun to watch, especially if he said yes to it. I wish they would have made that fight happen.
Yeah, I think it's a great hypothetical fight, but I think as far as, I guess my question is, and not that you can answer this because you're not Kamaru Usman, what does Kamaru Usman want? He's been pretty vague. Do you want to fight for titles? Do you just want big fights? What do you want to do?
He said he don't care.
Yeah.
That's what Usman said. He said he don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck.
Because he's already cemented his legacy. He's one of the greatest welterweights of all time. But for me, him and Robert Whittaker, unless he's trying to move forward and grab a second title, I don't know if that does anything for us, right? Just for us fans. It'd be cool to watch, but that makes middleweight more tricky than anything. Because then what do you do? You have Usman who'd be 1-1 at middleweight, and now he's automatically kind of in the title picture. Like
it's all who you beat though, right? And it would make sense though, right? You beat Robert Whittaker,
of course, but I'm just saying
you skipping past the line because he beat Sean. He beat Sean already, so it would make sense. So at the end of the day, they do a good job matching up these fights, but don't nobody know who Ikram is, right? Like Robert Whittaker said it too. Then he didn't know who the fuck the dude was. He was just willing to take the fight. So I really wish that Usman and Robert Whittaker would have got put together. But you never know. The UFC might be saving that nigga for somebody special. You never know.
So in theme of this show, apparently we have another fight that has fallen out. Mike Tyson can't fight Jake Paul due to some health issues, which
crazy.
we expected anyway. Just kind of an odd fight to put together, but. I don't know if it's official, but I've seen multiple reports that Jake Paul will be fighting Mike Perry. Yeah,
it is official. I reached out to Mike Perry. Boy, making a good bag. Boy, making some good money, But Mike Perry, just shout out to him, bro. Like, being able to, once he got cut from the UFC, change his whole career path up. And to get into, a realm of bare knuckle boxing, get into, boxing alone and be able to introduce himself to a whole different fan base now. My man just blowing up with the numbers. He doing this thing with his, I think it's an Underdog, podcast. And I really feel like Mike Perry, man, really has elevated his whole game and his career, and now having the Jake Paul fight, I think, man, it's just a beautiful situation for him. I'm glad that this fight is happening instead of the Mike Tyson fight, you know? Because why you want to fight a man, you know, that just had a stroke on a plane, man, and getting wheelchaired out? They were still trying to reschedule that fight. They were still trying to make that happen. But in my personal opinion, this the fight that if Jake Paul, you want a little bit more respect, beating a person like Mike Perry is going to give you that respect. Not beating a 6-year-old Mike Tyson, right? And as much people have respect for Mike Tyson, because don't nobody have more respect for Mike Tyson than I do, where I literally, you know, imitated my whole style off of Mike Tyson, then coming into MMA, you know, with the peekaboo style, with the footwork, you know, with the massive explosive shots. But regardless, though, it's just like, you know, time is undefeated against all athletes. And with Mike Tyson coming into, you know, the ring and trying to box, that wasn't going to be no fun situation to watch, you know. And if I swear for God, if Jake Paul would have knocked my boy Mike Tyson out, nigga, I would have had to go see Jake Paul, not even on some competitive shit, nigga. It's just like, nigga, everybody look up to Mike, bro. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfucking animals in the jungle. Tigers look up to Mike Tyson, you understand? So it's just like to see that situation, bro, you know, I just would have never fell in love with, because everybody want to have that old memory of Mike Tyson, you know what I'm saying, back when he was 19, 20 years old.
Those days are over.
You know what I mean? Like that's over with, you know. But regardless, though, I think this is the best matchup that Jake Paul can make right now to really solidify his name, you know, to really go up against somebody that's just going to go after you and take those shots, man, and go for the kill.
Which, you know, just interesting, because you talked about it earlier, just to see Mike Perry's progression. Do you remember you fought Jordan Wright in Vegas? I cornered you for that fight.
Yeah.
But the week Mike Perry was having, I won't get into all the stuff behind the scenes that he was going with, but when he was fighting Tim Means, just all the chaos and craziness, he ended up losing that fight, missed weight, or whatever. And this,
I ain't gonna lie, my man was eating a burger before and posted the story talking about Tim Means. How you doing?
Yeah, just a crazy weekend.
Character.
He had a corner out there. The corner didn't even go out there, so it was just his girlfriend. Like, it was just a crazy time. But to see the progression, I'm happy for him.
Hell
Mike,
yeah.
I've only met Mike, you know, that week, but he was super cool. So I'm just happy to see his progression. But to get him into the fight, it's just interesting. You know, Jake Paul still not fighting a boxer, right? But Mike Perry is the closest guy in MMA who's boxing, right? Bare knuckle boxing. And we're going to see something very interesting in this fight. Mike Perry is a real fighter. And I don't know if Jake has fought really many of those or any of those. And what I mean is Ben Askren, you know, obviously a wrestler by trade, but, you know, he didn't embody the spirit of being like a fighter, hard-nosed fighter. What you saying, like a Robbie
I'm going to see you outside fighter.
Yeah. You know, somebody who, regardless, win, lose, or draw, he's willing to put his life on the line and really bite on.
They try to say Diaz. Diaz was one of them. Come on.
But come on, just not at that stage. I believe Diaz is that type of competitor, but not at the stage of his career. Mike Perry's still in his prime. Mm-hmm. Diaz was kind of at the point where he just kind of wanted to make some money, in my opinion. He wasn't trying to be the most competitive. I mean, he threw a guillotine in that fight. Come on.
Just having fun.
Yeah, it was just it was something for him to do. He made a ton of money. But I know that Mike Perry is going to try to knock him the fuck out.
He taking this real serious.
It's not a joke to him, and I feel like he wants a point to prove. I don't think he wants to lose to somebody like Jake Paul, somebody who's kind of made it a show and kind of made it a game to be a fighter. And I think Mike Perry takes some sort of pride in starching him. So it's interesting just from that standpoint. I give Jake this. He's taking it serious. Do I think he's the greatest boxer in the world? Absolutely not. But he's made leaps and bounds and strides to really become a competent boxer at least. But he's going to have to fight.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have to fight this fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's something
you ain't going to be handing out no watches to motherfuckers and talking about, hey, I'm going to take you out in this round. You know what I'm saying? This is the time you're going to get knocked out, right?
Who you talking about?
You know who I'm talking about.
But it's going to be a fight, right?
It's definitely going to be a fight. And like I said, I'm intrigued definitely with Jake Paul and how he's going to approach this fight, right? Because at the end of the day, like we said about Mike Perry, he already come from that. He going to pressure that boy out the gate. So the thing is, though, because we know he can't box, so we know he ain't got no footwork on him. So my thing is, they really going to have to meet in the middle, and I think it's going to be shot for shot. I don't think this fight make it out the first round, bro. I really don't. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not even saying that Jake Paul even loses this, like, straight off the bat, because Jake Paul still got good power.
He has a lot of power. That's
a lot of good power, you know. And if you run into it, because don't catch me lying, but I think they trained together before. Mike Perry and Jake Paul have trained and sparred together, so they recognize each other for sure. But I believe just under those lights and when that time to go, Mike Perry just gonna switch it, and it's just gonna be a situation where, like I said, I don't see a motherfucker making it out the first round in this one.
Yeah, I mean, either way,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how Jake Paul deals with a fight. Tommy Fury and him was like a sparring match,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And most of the guys that he's gone against haven't been competitive enough
To
with
even
him
get it there,
to make it a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Perry, win, lose, or draw, he's going to fight you.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
And I think it's only gonna last 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be long.
Yeah. I think Mike Perry gonna get him out of there.
We'll see if Jake Paul wants to prove he's a boxer.
We gonna find out.
Yeah, this is the fight to prove.
We gonna find out for sure.
So some media beef. We had what's kind of funny. We had Bisping and Ariel Helwani going back and forth. Did you see some of that online?
Man, look, I caught a little clip of it, Bisping, but Bisping, he just keeping it a buck, Ariel know what he be doing. He trying to be the first one to capture the news. He always trying to stir up the pot, but with that being said, that is Ariel business. That is his job, and that's how he make his money, right, to keep his platform on. And the backlash that Ariel gave Michael Bisping, I feel like, Ariel done got one up on Bisping on this one, because I ain't never heard a nigga say bootleg in a minute, boy.
Call buddy a bootlegger. That's crazy.
I ain't heard that shit, nigga, since a 60s movie, nigga, no bootleg ass. But regardless, though, I feel like what Ariel was saying is kind of right as well, that Bisping was only saying that only to try to, get good with Dana White and get good with the company and shit like that. Because regardless, at the end of the day, Ariel business is to get the news out, regardless, you know what I'm saying? And regardless of how we might feel about him, and how he conducts his shit, that's what he do. You know what I'm saying? So you can't be mad about it. You just move on and you don't talk about it if that's the case.
Right.
Leave that shit alone.
I'm a fan of Ariel for the most part, and I like what Bisping is doing. It's just kind of funny because it is literally his job to be the first in the scene, right? That's like part of it. He's in media. That's what he does. He's a journalist. Excuse me. That's what he does. But at the same point in time, just the jokes, them going back and forth. Yeah. You're right. Ariel got one up. But I can understand from a fighter's perspective. I mean, me and you have spoken. Yeah. Like when I look at like the Masvidal interview, like that one specific where like he asked a question, Masvidal was like, I don't want to talk about it. He goes back to it, and then he brings up his dad. It's like, okay. Like I think that's what Bisping is kind of alluding to. But at the same point in time, Bisping, when you work for the UFC, it's hard to be as candid as you want to be because you're promoting something. You are a commentator and you talk about fights daily. You can't necessarily trash a fight and talk about something as whack, even if you think it is. But I think both of them are just doing their jobs, and the scrutiny that they're giving each other is kind of ironic.
It is ironic
because it's like that's what you're supposed to do, like right.
Both of them, right? And that's the thing too. And people will see like, what is your issue with Ariel? My issue is just point blank, period. Like your Ariel issues with the UFC, he try to have us be a part of that, right? I'm not trying to play that game with you, man. Even if it's not even with just the UFC, but just asking personal questions that don't need to be exposed to the world, you know what I mean? But damn well, like, it's probably... So, matter of fact, perfect example, because I do got some facts now that I think about it.
Go ahead.
Gegard Mousasi, man. I love Gegard Mousasi, man. I think low-key, a lot of people don't give that man the respect that he deserves, being in the, not just the UFC, but being a part of the Pride Days. That nigga, like, a real pioneer and was still, like, thugging it out to this day, right? But that the PFL end up buying Bellator, so something happened. I don't really know the backstory or the inside story about Gegard Mousasi, but Ariel Helwani said he had the backstory, but he wanted Gegard to talk about it on the show, right? So Gegard, he just not, just having a conversation and shit like that. But my opinion is that Ariel Helwani, at the end of the day, he knew that conversation alone was gonna jeopardize my man's career. Cause then after the conversation was over, Ariel was like, "All right, man, good luck with your shit, dog.
Right.
I hope you be good." Nigga, not even the next day. The following hour, that nigga was cut, nigga. They removed that nigga from the PFL.
And I just thought about it during this conversation itself. Ariel has his grasp with the UFC, and this is something I would love for him to expound upon.
But we all know though.
No, but the UFC's business model has been the same before you had a beef with the UFC. And you only really covered it once you were blackballed from working with the company.
Right.
So now I do kind of feel like he uses fighters as a mouthpiece. But when it is your gripe because you don't like the business model, or is your gripe because you have a beef with the UFC?
Yeah,
because I didn't really hear those type of pieces. I just thought about that. Can I watch Ariel? I think he does a really good job, but I can understand as a fighter, you're jeopardizing my career. You're not going to have me in your show every day or enough for it to make me money.
Right.
So you're putting me in a position where I'm only going to be ostracized for my opinion, most likely,
Exactly.
and not rewarded for it. It only really does far more benefit for him.
I might as well tell fighters, man, stay off that bitch. Stay off that joint. Because like I said, literally got my man Gegard Mousasi let go, you know? Because Gegard was like, nigga, I think I got like 2 more on my contract. BFL was like, nigga, not today. And just let my man go. But the only reason why that happened is because Ariel incentivized that conversation to be had. They could have talked about anything else. But leave the business out of it, right? The conversation that he's having behind closed doors, let that be behind closed doors. Don't be trying to shed that light out to everybody. Because they ain't nobody's business but Gegard's and the people that he working with.
And I have a question on a similar thing, same topic. You know, I saw some fans saying Ariel would never say that to Bisping's face, so he shouldn't say it online. Do you agree? Do you agree with that, or do you feel like if it's just words, we can talk? It doesn't matter who talks what.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Because people been saying the same thing about me that I wouldn't say it to DC face, like, you know what I'm saying, when I was talking about, you know, your mama raised a hoe and shit. But you can say whatever you want to online. But when that person ends up seeing you in your face, whatever happens, you got to realize that you probably provoked this whole situation in the first place. So I accept any situation that happens with the shit that I talk, whether that's about Khamzat, whether that's about Conor McGregor, whether it's about DC. I'm willing to take whatever repercussion that come my way because this is what I do, you know? But everybody ain't built like that, including Ariel Helwani. He ain't built like that. So with him calling Bisping a bootlegger, do I believe that he would have said that straight up to Bisping's face? Hell no. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, though, it's just like these situations, it's just like you can talk all the shit that you want to. You got the right to do that. But if somebody is able to see you about that, you know, then you got to live up to them. You got to live by them words. You got to stand on business. Yeah.
I agree to an extent. I think as long as what you say, because Ariel did jump off. Call me a bootlicker. Like
that's good.
Even though it's like the lightest diss, for some reason that make me want to smack somebody in the mouth. Like that's just a diabolical term to call somebody. And then he used his name with a bootlicker Bisping to tie it together like it's a.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna start using that shit too.
Like it's a compound word.
I'm gonna start using that shit too.
But my whole thing is, if me and you have a difference of opinion and we're both speaking facts, anybody can speak their facts. I don't believe because I can beat up somebody or I can't beat up somebody, that should change my verbiage, right?
Right.
Ariel did go a little disrespectful with the diss part, and I think that's where people are coming from with that. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I mean, of course, like, I'm willing to stand up as a man because that's who I am, but I don't really care who you are. If I think that it's true, I'm just going to say it. And it shouldn't be no fight about it unless I say something that's out the woodwork. And if whatever happens, happens. But I do think it's funny that, you know, like a bootlicker, all that. You know,
that shit is wild. I don't know what movie he was watching when he pulled that shit out, but that shit crazy, though.
While the UFC fights were going on, the big boxing match was on, Tank Davis versus Frank Martin. Did you catch any of that?
I got to catch it. I didn't watch the whole fight, but I got to catch the highlights, you know. Man, Gervonta Davis is just a different type of beast, bro. You know, I really believe that Gervonta right now at this stage of his career is the face of boxing and really is putting on the shows that need to be put on. And the way that he, man, put out Frank Martin in the 8th round, you know, with that uppercut and then finished him with the cross.
Same side.
Man, just nasty. But it's always the setups, though, as they say. So I'm definitely finna go back and watch the fight with Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, man, just to see how he set it up. But that boy is a savage, man, when he go out there, man.
So, you know, MMA is like my number one. But we'll get into the fights next for the UFC. But it wasn't a night of big fights, so I found myself throwing on a boxing match. I caught it at the beginning of the 6th round or the end of the 5th or whatever.
Okay.
And from what I understood, they said Tank was having a hard time. Frank Martin was on his combinations, using his footwork. Tank doesn't fight a lot of southpaws, so he's kind of, you know, giving him trouble. But funny enough, when I started watching the fight, Tank downloaded the playbook, started to understand, started catching Frank Martin. The movement slowed down, and he landed a lot of big shots. Tank would get caught with a couple jabs, maybe a combination here or there.
But still just putting that pressure on.
When I saw the 7th round, I'm like, oh, okay, the next one, that's it.
Oh, you knew.
It's just, you can't take those type of shots from Tank.
Right.
And continue. It's happened. It's funny. It's like every Tank fight's kind of the same. Starts off kind of slow. He gives away a bunch of early rounds. Yeah. And then somehow he just finds that shot.
Because like you said before, he collecting that data. He reading every combination that you throwing, whether you missing or you actually completing that shot, he taking that all in and he just setting you up. And that's the beautiful thing about Gervonta. He not just hitting hard, he not just fast or explosive. He's setting you up for that knockout shot. This has been countless fights that you even spoke of, like with Santa Cruz, with Isaac, who else? Not Devin. What's that boy name? Ryan Garcia, right? All these fights that he didn't have and where he got the finish at, right? He set these boys up. Depending on what they throwing and how aggressive they coming, right? He's setting up these shots where, okay, the body is open. Boom. That's where I want to finish. Okay, the uppercut is there. Boom. I'm going to finish up top, right? Like Gervonta Davis and his ability to see where these fights end up and then able to finish these fights too at the highest level is kind of crazy to me because I don't really see no finishes like this at this high level of boxing.
30 wins, 28 KOs.
That's crazy, man.
Well, when I kind of knew it was the beginning of the end because Martin started playing on the ropes, right? That rope-a-dope style is very dangerous, right? Against
and that's the thing. He ain't tall. Frank Martin ain't tall, like so. It ain't like he weaving. Like you just up against the ropes, getting banged up like a heavy bag. It's crazy.
So what it appeared is that Martin kind of was tiring out. He said in the post-fight interview, being elusive, throwing all those combinations, being on his bike. He tried to conserve his energy, so he tried to go on the ropes. But that's the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Once you have to go to plan B, and it's to do that against a power puncher and somebody who's fast and smart. I saw shots connecting, and I was just like, oh, I know this is near the end. So I just knew it was either that round or the next. And then he sat there, big big uppercut, same side. Martin's already falling. The next shot wouldn't even need it, in my opinion. Yeah, it was pretty much over.
And be honest with you, the stage where Gervonta is right now, I don't see nobody beat him.
No.
Not Devin Haney. Not Steve Shakur. You see Ryan not Lomachenko, none of them. Right?
No, because I think Lomachenko, although you could say he might be a better technical boxer,
he ain't got that power. Man.
And he's still gonna get touched. No, and he's still gonna get touched. It's still gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Like we just said earlier with Alex Pereira, there's certain guys. If they touch you enough, it's just gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think like I just said, 30 wins, 28 KOs. That sounds like a made up stat. Like that's how good Tank is. And I do think he's the face of boxing. I think it's kind of transitioning from Canelo and, going to Tank Davis. Bud Crawford for a lot of people, but he's more of
Bud's so quiet though.
Yeah.
Bud, and he, not even just like what Gervonta be talking to, but at least he's a character when he is on camera. And like when it is time to promote, Gervonta gonna give his personality. Bud ain't the same type of way, And I think that's what kind of hurt Bud's not career overall, because he's still undefeated. He's still gonna go down as one of the greatest of all time. But when you talk about namesake and name value, that's why Bud is not that guy.
Yeah.
So with Gervonta Davis, man, I'm trying to think about the next fight that could possibly even be made for him.
So Perry Punch, he posted a poll about who should he fight next. Is it Tank versus Garcia 2? Tank versus Lomo, Tank versus Inor, you know who that is?
Inor,
yeah. He's trying to the Japanese dude, yeah.
But he little though.
He cold though.
But he little though.
Tank Haney, so if you guys have an opinion on that.
I would like to see the Inua, the Japanese boy. But he little though.
But he got a lot of power too.
He do, but he little though.
He be knocking it, but
like he ain't little like short wise.
Well,
like,
he fights what 130 or something like that.
No, that nigga fought like at 112 at one point or 118.
Yeah.
And I think he a four division champ, so he done moved up every single time, so that's dope, right? But I don't think I would like to see it though. But I don't think anyone gonna be able to last in that fight.
With that being said, I've already alluded to it. Did you watch any of the fights? It wasn't a big fight card. Not the best and brightest. I think honestly we've been spoiled a little bit, but Perez versus Tyra. Did you see any of that?
Man, I saw a little bit of it. You know what I'm saying? I was in and out. He kind of woke me up though. He kind of woke me up. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm so happy that woke me up, and I saw who the winner was. But I feel like this fight card, man, was just full of people that. Just on the prelim, but this was a little nigga. This was a little nigga card. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of flyweights, you know what I'm saying? A lot of bantamweights. No disrespect to them, but that's what it felt like,
What you got against the little guys?
I ain't got nothing against the little niggas, man, but they be putting me to sleep, nigga. I ain't gonna stop with you. But a lot of technical work though, between what's that boy name again? I'm so sad. What's his name again?
You talking Perez or you talking Tyra?
The main event. Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, no, it was a great fight.
Tyra and
Alex Perez.
thank you, Alex Perez. Alex Perez, usually when he put hands on folks, he can put them out. But Tyra, I just think he's just that next generation of fighter that that's really just gonna show out. And he has all the talent in the world. He kind of showed up a little bit of the stand up, but that ground game is sick, right? That body triangle that he put on Alex Perez was nasty, and how he took my nigga wrist and leaned back. And he blew out that boy whole knee. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect that, but it's just hard to come back from shit like that, bro. So we praying for him. But I think Tyra is next up and coming champ, man. And that'd be the first Japanese champion if he does, able to succeed in getting that belt.
I hate to say it because you're making fun of all the the
little
small,
niggas.
Yeah, the smaller fighters. But I actually had to watch the fight today. I watched the whole main card until that point, and then I woke up and I was looking at the post show.
Oh, so you went to sleep too?
I actually did fall asleep, but I rewatched it. The main event from I think Toshihiro Taira and Alex Perez, and it was a good fight for as long as it lasted. Perez had a harder time getting inside, but when he did, he made his work count. He was going to the body, landing big shots up top. But Toshihiro Taira, he landed a lot of, I would say, the better strikes. It just seemed like it had a bigger effect than Perez was having. Perez tried to end up taking him down at the end of the first round. Taira got right back up. And then in the second round, he initiates the grappling against the cage, shoots a double. Perez sprawls. He ends up taking him down. Perez is about to pop back up. He takes the back, and that was the finishing sequence. And it was vicious. I've never seen anybody blow someone's knee out from
not from that position.
From a back thing. It was very unique.
How he got the fight to the ground from there too.
That trip.
It wasn't even like no.
It was like a
he leaned back like it was the Matrix or something.
Oh, you meant like when he got him down from
and he grabbed Buddy's
when he took the
arm.
back. Yeah,
so he can lean back and still hold on.
Put all that leverage on his knee.
Oh my God, I ain't gonna lie. So the boy a problem when it comes to the ground, and he's a problem on the feet. And he called out everybody. He said, "Line them motherfuckers up. I'm good. Let's go. Let's run it." That's the type of energy that I'm talking about. And that boy don't even speak no English. All he can say, "Nigga, I'm so happy. I'm so happy." So I'm always gonna be a fan of that dude right there, man. And looking forward to the next fight for that kid. Let's go, Tyra. Let's get it.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Brick Brothers Podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for next week's episode. We'll try to answer a few questions. Please submit those to Solid Foundation Media on Instagram or our Discord group.